Hello and welcome back to Return to the Obra Dinn. As I said in the last episode, I spent some time walking through the environment, looking at some of the different vignettes that we'd already looked at, and trying to piece together, okay, who can we tell who any of these people are? And I think we can. I think there's a couple. The game seems to think, if we look at Chapter 7, the game seems to think that we can identify this guy, tattoo guy, as well as these two guys and this guy in this just kind of MIA section. I have a theory about this guy here. I've seen these two guys around, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I see enough information to identify who they are. But I do see them around in some of the different areas. This guy I have a theory about. I'll get to him in a minute. But right now, we are here in Abigail's vignette. This is where she was crushed by the rigging. And in the beginning of this vignette, she's calling out to a Martin and asking him where the captain is. I believe, based on the positioning of everyone in this scene, I'm guessing this guy is Martin, because he's the one standing right next to her, and he's jumping out of the way as this beam is falling down. So I suspect this guy is Martin. Now, this guy, if we do this, is the guy standing directly behind the captain to the right. We had previously thought this might be the second mate. But if we jump over here to the crew, not that one, to the crew log, we can see Martin is actually the third mate. Now, we don't know Martin's fate yet. But here's where this gets a little interesting. If we jump back over here to reality, and we work our way downstairs. So if we assume that that guy is Martin, and we come down here and we look at the artists, vignette here. So unpleasant. Right here, we can see this guy is Martin, or the guy we think is Martin. Now, where I'm interested is in this guy standing next to him. He's walking with him carrying what appears to be 2 plates of food. Probably, maybe either Martin and himself, or Martin and another officer. I suspect this guy is like Martin's assistant. And if we jump back over to the crew list, we can see, if we scroll down a bit... Oh, and I found out to scroll... It doesn't work too well on this one. But on the map, you can actually scroll the map by holding W and S to scroll up and down. A little smoother than the scroll wheel, which hardly seems to scroll at all, but definitely a little bit nicer than kind of wiggling. Anyway, if we come in here and we scroll down this list, we can see here that all of the mates had stewards. So I suspect that this man to the right is Roderick Anderson, the third mate's steward, which would be Martin's assistant, basically. Now, this man is a very interesting man. We can see this is the man that is standing right behind Martin in our picture. That made sense, if he's his assistant. Now, where this gets particularly interesting, if we leave this vignette, we can come over to one of these down here. I believe it's this one. over here, we see Martin again, and the man here being crushed by this cannon. This guy is the main target of this vignette. It's none other than Martin's assistant. And so I believe, I don't remember his name. So if this is Martin's assistant, we do know his identity. So I'm going to go ahead and punch that in and see what it says. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name. Third mate steward is Roderick Anderson. So I believe this man is Roderick Anderson, the third mate's steward. Similarly, while we're at it, although we can't put in his fate, both because the game won't let us and because we don't know it yet, we can identify this man as Martin, the third mate. Okay, so to recap where we're at, we have covered 2 chapters so far. We've covered Chapter 10 and Chapter 7. If we look at Chapter 10, our ultimate goal, remember, is to identify all of the people as well as what happened to them. So, Chapter 10 had 4 people die. We identified the captain, we've identified William Hoskett, the first mate, who was shot by the captain. There's this man who was standing next to him. He was knifed by the captain. We don't know who this is. And the fact that his picture is still blurry means that the game thinks we don't have enough information to find out who it is. So we're not going to worry about him just now. This man, who I have actually seen around a fair bit now, was also killed by the captain. And the game thinks we don't have enough information, so we'll skip him for now. And we identified the captain himself. And that's it for Chapter 10. So moving on to Chapter 7, we have 9 people killed and 7 people missing. We identified Lars Lind as being the only Danish man, and he was clubbed by an unknown attacker. Now, an interesting piece about that, if I work my way back up there, there was an interesting detail that I found. Originally, I had seen this vignette.
Let me on.
So this is the man that we believe to be Lars.
How's that?
And he's being killed by this, or we think killed. This may not be a death blow.
You killed my brother.
He's being killed by this man,
That was an accident.
who believes his brother was killed by Lars. Now the game thinks we have enough information to identify this man. I'm not so convinced. But, interestingly, there's another vignette. I think it might be the artists, where you come up here and you see a man hunched down over Lars's body. Now that man is an officer that we have not identified yet. And initially I had thought that he had killed Lars, but this suggests otherwise. Let's see. Right, so we identified the artist, who was crushed by the Kraken. This man was crushed by the Kraken, but we can't identify him yet. These 2 men were killed by the cannon, but we can't identify them yet. We just identified Roderick Anderson. This man was blown up, but we can't identify him yet. The game seems to think that we can identify Tattoo Man. I don't believe we can. I have not seen anything that suggests we can identify him. I've seen him around a lot, but we identified the captain's wife. And then there's these 7 men that just disappeared. Now, I think we can identify the fates of some of these men, but I don't think we have enough information to identify them, with the exception of this guy, as I mentioned before. Now, notice in this guy's picture, he's holding the wheel. And now in the vignettes, we have not seen anyone hold the wheel. But if we look at the crew sketch, and we come down here, you can see now there's something weird going on with the picture. You can see he's like, his feet are big, but then he's really tiny and it doesn't quite line up. And like his arm's out, but it's not quite like there's two arms there. I don't know what's going on with the picture. But he's holding onto the wheel, which makes me wonder if he's the helmsman. Now, if he is the helmsman, we can come over here, and that means this man is Finley Dalton. I'm not confident enough to actually put that in yet, because all we have is a picture of him holding the wheel, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some... Actually, we can check the glossary, can't we? Is helmsman in here? It is. Rated seaman in control of the ship's wheel and general movement to move in navigation. So he's probably the only person that is allowed to touch the wheel. So in that case, let's go ahead and mark him as Finley Dalton, the helmsman. Finley Dalton, the helmsman. But we don't know his fate yet. Okay. And that's not what I want to do. Jump back to chapter 7. Look back here. Okay. So, some of these men, if we go... Are they in this one? No. Let's go to this one. So here's Tattoo Man. We know his fate, but we haven't identified it. The game thinks we can. I don't know. But we can see elsewhere. See, like here is this bald rigging guy. Now somewhere we can see 3 men there fell into the sea, but they're too far away, we can't identify them. There was one, I think it's not this one, it's the other one. This one? Yeah. This guy right here, notice, is Turban Guy. So I think the implication is that Turban Guy fell into the sea. I remember mentioning before, my guess is anyone who fell into the sea while this was all going on, they ain't coming back. So we can say Turban Guy drowned by beast, I guess? Or there's something better than drown? Oh, interesting. Fell overboard. Fell overboard to his death. We don't know who he is, but we believe that's what happened to him. Let's see, is there anyone else that was grabbed by the Kraken or is falling overboard? I don't think so. No, I think that's it for now. So there's 2 more things that I noticed while I was looking around that I wanted to mention. One is if we go downstairs, this is something that doesn't immediately provide us clues, but... Oh, just a nail. I noticed these hammocks that are hanging... I'm assuming these are hammocks that are hanging above the cannons actually have numbers on them. Oh, what does that say? Latin or something? Not sure. You might not expect it to read that, but notice this is hammock 44, and some of these others, there are others, I've seen them. There were others. Maybe they're in the vignettes. But all the hammocks in the area all have numbers on them, which may come into play later if we're overhearing other conversations, or maybe if we find journals or anything, that may play a part. The other thing I noticed is that we completely skipped this guy. We didn't even see his vignette yet. Now, before I jump into this one, this is something interesting. I saw this. There's this knife lying in what seems to be this guy's blood. And the blood kind of drips off here, which makes me think one of two things. Either this man was in here, someone brought the knife in, stabbed him, and then ran out, dropped the knife, and ran this way. Or, alternatively, and I think this more likely, that man was stabbed, came probably down these stairs, but maybe came this way. He was stabbed probably right about here, and then stumbled this way, pulled the knife out of himself, and stumbled into this room and collapsed. Now we have an idea about who this guy is, even before we look at his vignette. Because if we jump over to the map, we can see this is the midshipman room, apparently. I was thinking, never mind, I was thinking this was the third mate. Wait, isn't this the third mate room? Oh, no, I guess it's not. Never mind. But we know this man is probably a midshipman, whoever he is. So let's check it out.
Oh no! You're cut!
Don't leave me.
Bear up, son. I'll stay with you.
Tell Pete's mother I tried my best
Aye.
to pull him back, to save him.
You tell her yourself. Brennan! Bring the surgeon's kit!
Alright. Interesting. Oh, wow. There is so much more blood now. Alright. So who are you? Okay, you're the guy standing to the right of the wheel. Who are you? The guy with hat. Oh, wait. That's the captain. You're the first mate. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. There's nothing to see in this vignette on this side. So if we come to the right, what's going on over here? This man has a club. Oh, this is Hat Guy. Follow the blood trail. Alright, we're zoning out here. Ooh, chapter 9. Who is this and how did they die? I don't know yet. Well, no, we know how they died. Well, no, I guess we don't know. We know he was stabbed. And the evidence strongly suggests that he died because of that. But we also know there's this man who may be a surgeon, or at least is trying to use a surgeon's kit to help him. So maybe not. Let's see. Oh, and we have a ghost. Let's look around a little bit first. Who are these two men? Black cap guy and another mate. I'm assuming the people with, like, the kind of curvy hats, the pointed hats, are mates. Officers. See, they all seem to come from this room. And who are you? Bald guy. Alright. Well, where's our ghost? Okay. Yep, that's right where we found his body. Let's see this guy's.
What's all this, you damn fool?
You know, it occurs to me, these vignettes we're seeing are actually these people's deaths. So even though I'm always like, I think, whenever I see a clubbing, I'm always like, yeah, I mean, that could be his death. But it might not be, though. But the whole point of these vignettes is that it's showing their death, right? So this man died via a clubbing. We don't know who this is, though. But he was killed by Hat Guy. Okay. Now he appears to have shot Hat Guy in the face. But we don't know for certain. And who is this guy? Our first mate. Oh, ooh, he was stabbed in the back. Who is this? Now he has the hat. So I think, excuse me, this person's face appears blurred throughout the book. This blurring indicates that you don't yet have sufficient information to determine their identity. Their fate may be known and can be entered now. Trying to name them while their face is blurred would be unproductive. Carry on and pay attention. Faces will become unblurred when the information necessary to identify them has been revealed in some way. Yeah, I know. I want to try anyway. Because I'm going to mark him as an unknown officer. I believe this hat means he's an officer. Alright. I don't think we know his fate, though. Oh, we have another ghost. Okay, so this guy... Yeah, he's the midshipman we saw crouching in here. So, he got knifed in the back. Even with the surgeon's kit, I imagine that's probably fatal. Oh, and the guy that's helping him is the first mate. Right, so he's not a surgeon. Okay. This man... Oh, we know his fate. He was clubbed by Hat Guy. This unknown officer was clubbed by... We don't know who Hat Guy is. The game seems to think we can identify who Hat Guy is, but I don't think so. And Hat Guy seems... We're going to go ahead and enter this. Oh, maybe we're not. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, we can put in that he was shot by... That he was shot, but not by who. Alright, where's our ghost? Hat Guy? Yep, it's Hat Guy. Yep. What? Oh, cool. You can do it, and then if you click again before it's done, he stops. That's interesting.
Captain. You have a plan? Yes. Take ship and sail east. Trade racing fish and shells for gold. Hey, who's there?
Mutiny! Mutiny!
Bastard!
No!
Ooh. Alright. So he was definitely shot in the face by this officer. Let's see. Our stabbed guy already ran through here. He's on his way crawling to his room. Nobody in here. No. Nothing else down here. Anything up here? Oh, hello. Okay, there's Hat Guy. And the first mate. Anyone else on the deck? No. No one going overboard. Here's the captain. Excuse me? Okay. We don't know who this was, but we know that he was shot with a gun. I mean, arguably decapitated, but... Actually, can you be decapitated with a gun? Shot with a gun by a known attacker, but not one that we know who it is. And we have another ghost. What is this, though? So, bald guy is throwing... this guy over the railing. Presumably, looks like there was a sword fight. Captain's just kind of chilling over here with gun, so presumably he wasn't involved in this. So most likely these two guys got in a sword fight. Bald guy won and is throwing the other guy over the railing, but we don't know for certain yet. I don't see anything else we can identify here. Yep. So let's find out what's going on up here. Awkward.
Let them go!
Oh. What? Who is this? Someone else. Interesting. There's the captain aiming his gun over here. This man, I'm going to call Fist Guy, was shot by this lady. Who else is down there? Someone else. We don't know any of these people. people. There is someone else down there. Another woman. Couple guys here. Okay, this guy, we know he was shot with a gun. And we know he was killed by that lady, but we don't know who that lady is. And we have another ghost. Let's see, what's going on here? Right, we have Hat Guy, and this is the first mate. Oh, hello. Old guy being all creepy. Let's take a look below deck. Uh-huh. Oh, interesting. This is our midshipman. Looks like he was stabbed in the back by Hat Guy, who was then also being chased by the other officer. Interesting. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode, so before we pop this ghost and see who else we're going to go learn about, I think we will call it here for now. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you're all enjoying the series. I know, as I mention every episode, I am definitely still enjoying this. This is absolutely fascinating for me. So if you're enjoying this, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If there's something else, some other game you'd like to play, let me know. Otherwise, just hit that like button. It really helps me out, lets me know you guys are enjoying this content. And I will see you all next time.